Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, and JB Bickerstaff pull out the victory in the All-Star game. They win the whole tourney kind of thing. I actually thought this was very enjoyable. We're going to talk about it, break it down, and why it was so cool to see these Piston players in there in today's episode, Locked on Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked on Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked on Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked on Network. Been a credential media member over the last 3 years, and I want to thank all of you guys for making Locked on Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked on Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Also, make sure you guys are following us on TikTok, Locked on Pistons. You can also follow us on Instagram at Locked on Pistons, or you can also follow me on Instagram at Khahil. We will have a lot of Pistons content coming as well. It's a little shorts from these episodes as well, along with some other content. So make sure you guys are following us on all of those social media platforms as well. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Later on, I want to talk about whether is tanking a good or bad issue. Is it actually this big of a deal? And the reason why I'm talking about it, because I think the Pistons serve as a big example of which side I'm leaning towards. We'll talk about how the Pistons, I think where the Pistons are at and what they went through, I think should be a primary example of which side you should take with tanking, because it's been a big talking point. And then to wrap up the podcast, we'll talk about Jalen Duren. Has he earned the max this year so far with his play? We'll break it down a little bit later. But let's start with the All-Star game, man. This was Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and JB Bickerstaff. I thought this was amazing. They all got to play on the same team. JB obviously didn't play. He was the coach. But Cade and JD got to play on the same team. They lost one game to, I believe, Team World it was. No, to the Old Heads, right? No, yeah, I think they lost one game to the Old Heads because the Team World went 0-2. They ended up, because they lost to a 3 to De'Aaron Fox. But they ended up winning the full tourney. I thought this was just, the format itself I was not very excited about. I thought it was going to be one of those dumb changes that they try to make people compete out there. And I don't know if it was the format. I don't know what it was, but this was a very entertaining All-Star game. The last game, Cade's team, they blew out the Old Heads. But all the games up until then were very close, very competitive. You saw defense being played. They were running horns action at times. Like, they were running legit plays. It was I thought I had a very good time. I had a very good time watching the games. And something that was even more fun to watch was how much of an impact the Pistons, JB, Cade, and Jalen Duren had on the victories of this team. Like, the first two games they played, so much of the offense that the All-Stars were running was just simply Cade pick and roll. Like, Cade, Anthony Edwards ended up winning the MVP, but Cade, through the first two games, everything was going through him. Like, they were letting him be the point guard. He was setting everybody up. They were running pick and rolls with him and JD. On the game-tying 3 from Scotty Barnes in the first game, you had, or the game-winning 3, I should say, by Scotty Barnes, you had Jalen Duren ran a pick and roll or set the screen for Cade. They ran a pick and roll. And just like we see all the time in actual Piston games, in crunch time, who do you go to? You go to Cade, you go to the Cade Duren pick and roll. And what happens? Cade gets trapped. He gets trapped in an All-Star game, just like real Piston games. He throws to the Jalen Duren the short roll. And what have we seen Jalen Duren do all the time, especially in the playoffs last year against the New York Knicks? Get in the short roll, read the tagging defender, see the 2-on-1, the weak side, and then kick it out to Scotty Barnes, who hits the game-winning 3 for them. I can't believe I'd be sitting here on a podcast afterwards doing film breakdowns of the All-Star game, but it was very entertaining. They were playing very hard. Wemby's team was playing incredibly hard. Wemby was going all out. Wemby had some crazy plays, man. Wemby went insane. Kawhi, 31 points in 12 minutes? I mean, that was just absurd. You saw some great shot making, but at the end of the day, if you were a Pistons fan, you saw Piston DNA all over this All-Star game, from JB Bickerstaff being the coach to Cade setting everybody up through the first 2 games, and Jalen Duren dominating the glass, getting multiple alley-oops, getting multiple putback slams. I mean, they were all over the place. You had Cade Cunningham with some multiple, just crazy at the rim blocks on Kevin Durant, on LeBron James. Like, KD, who said Derek White's the best rim protecting guard in the league? It's Cade Cunningham. We're done. We're done with D White. Okay, his time has passed. It's Cade Cunningham now. You get to the rim. You better watch out for the weak side rim protector. Your point guard up there, swatting you back. Whether you're KD, LeBron, whoever it is, he was up there. I believe he had 4 stocks in one game as well. Like, they were actually trying defensively. Cade was trying. It was very, very fun to watch. I was pleasantly surprised and very pleased with this All-Star game, especially after a weak Friday night, a very weak Saturday night. I was not feeling good at all coming into Sunday, thinking that this was just going to be one of the worst All-Star weekends I've been a part of. Like, I was actually there, that I've been able to watch as a fan. But this All-Star game came through. I don't know if it was the format or what, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, you had a bunch of crazy moments. I mean, you got Wemby with a crazy, just like a 2K-like dunk. Like we just mentioned, you had Kawhi going crazy with 31 points in 12 minutes. You had KD. Not a great day for KD. Got caught on his phone quite a bit pregame. During the warm-ups, he had his phone out. While they were introducing everybody, he had his phone out. He was walking the court with his phone out. Jackson Gatlin. Everyone go over to Locked On Rock and see what he has to do, man. This is going to be a rough one for him. But this was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a very fun game. It was a very fun tournament. Cade was incredible. Jalen Duren was incredible. This is actually, let me say this too real quickly. Last year, Cade, it felt like, was barely on the floor. He was barely a part of it. Like, he had one dunk, and that was it. Like, it felt like he wasn't even on the floor. And then this year, you look at this, it felt like players were actually deferring to him when the games were serious. That last game, they blew out the old head. It started getting a little crazy. Before then, though, it really felt like people were just deferring to Cade, and Cade was setting everybody up. It was super dope to see. So I loved it. I thought it was incredibly pleasing, and a very good All-Star game from the NBA. They responded. Wemby said that he was going to be serious. He was going to force everybody to be serious. Anthony Edwards said, we heard it. He took it serious. We had to up it up, and it produced a really good product, I thought. So let me know what you guys think down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. How you guys felt about this All-Star game? Did you like what you saw from Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren having that type of representation at NBA All-Star weekend in the NBA All-Star game? Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. Coming up, I want to talk about this whole tanking issue, which has been, I think, by far and away the biggest topic in the NBA community. For the last 2 weeks now, it was a big talking point at All-Star Weekend. And the reason why I want to talk about it, because I think the Pistons were directly impacted by this whole issue, what's being talked about. And teams like the Pistons will be heavily impacted by whatever way they decide to do, or however they decide to fix the quote-unquote issue. We'll talk about it, and you guys will see how I roped the Pistons into it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Ever want to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn the dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is a perfect time to lock it in. The Pistons, they'll be in there. Lock it in. And now, not only can you pick your cash, but you can also send you to the NBA Finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, check out the Everydayer Club, where you can get access to a Locked On Pistons Discord server, chat it up with Pistons fans, with myself, in between game days, during game days, whenever you want. You guys can check it out. Also, you guys will get ad-free listens to Locked On Pistons, compatible with all the major podcast platforms that we are on. You can head over to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayerclub, or you can click the link down below, take you straight there, and you'll be able to join our Everydayer Club. Again, like I said, get access to a Discord server, and also you will have access to ad-free listens to Locked On Pistons every single day. I'm actually really hyped up to talk about this segment here. I feel pretty strongly about where I stand with it. So I'm really interested to see where you guys all stand with this, because I'm sure if you're a part of the NBA community, if you're an NBA fan, if you're a fan of a team, you have a take on this whole tanking thing. You have a take on this. So I want to hear from you guys how you guys feel about this. But let's start with why this has been such a major topic over the last few weeks. It really has been talked about for a while now, but it's really picked up steam over the last few weeks because, really, if you want to pinpoint one person, I know this team's owner went crazy, but if you want to pinpoint one team and one person, it was the Utah Jazz, a game that they were winning. They entered into the fourth quarter, and Lauri Markkanen and JJJ did not play a single minute in that fourth quarter. And after the game, their head coach, Will Hardy, was asked about it, and he said, I was never considering bringing them back in. Now, JJJ ended up being ruled out the rest of the year with a surgery. He had to get, I believe it was a non-cancerous tumor, actually, on his leg. So hopefully everything's all right with him. But they ended up just not playing their guys at all in the fourth quarter to try to out-tank the other team. So that caused so much controversy and so much talk about this, so much so that Adam Silver, during All-Star Weekend, said he would consider ending the NBA draft and making rookies free agents if that's what it took to stop tanking. I want to talk about this because tanking directly impacted where the Pistons are at right now. And it will impact every team that is not the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks if they decide to do something crazy, which I don't think they should. Me personally, I do not see a problem with tanking, to be honest. There's 30 NBA teams in the league. You can find competitive games everywhere. You can find competitive teams everywhere. It's not like that you're forcing yourself to watch tanking teams. Most people aren't watching the teams anyways. They're tanking. So are we really that bothered by the tanking teams? Like, oh, I was planning on watching the Brooklyn Nets tonight. They set MPJ, man. My whole night's ruined. Like, really? Are people actually that bothered by the bad teams purposely being worse so they can, they're bad. And most people aren't watching them anyways. That's one. Two, to rope this into the Pistons, which is why I think it actually is pretty important. The Pistons would not have Cade Cunningham if it was not for tanking. If they do something to eliminate tanking, such as the whole... Actually, let me take that back. You can do something to eliminate tanking. Like, if they have some kind of idea to where... my suggestion has been teams can't have a top 3 or top 5 pick back-to-back years. Or after you have it 2 years in a row, now no matter what, the next year you can't be in the top 5. So if you finish with a 5 worst record, you automatically slide at 6 and everyone else gets bumped out. Something like that. I think that would be a fine solution if you don't want teams repeatedly just being bad. That would be my solution to try and incentivize them to hurry up and get good quickly instead of trying to lose all the time every single year for 5 years. That would be my solution. But if you do something crazy, like Adam Silver is talking about here, where he says ending the NBA draft. If you end the NBA draft, small market teams everywhere will be screwed. No rookie is coming out the draft. Look, we all love Cade right now. Cade is our franchise player. Everyone loves Cade, and Cade loves the city. But let's be real. If Cade was coming out that draft, and that class, and there was no draft, do we think that Cade Cunningham is coming out saying, you know what, I want to sign with the Detroit Pistons over the Spurs, over Houston, where he's from? Would he not want to go maybe to one of the bigger markets, New York, LA? Do we actually think that Cade would have signed with the Pistons outright if he wasn't drafted there? Now, again, he got drafted here and he's fallen in love with the city, and that's how it works. You get drafted to a city maybe you never knew. You get there, you get shown all kinds of love, you learn about the city, and then the player falls in love with the city falls in love with the player. That's part of what makes sports so, that's part of what makes sports special. It's part of what builds these relationships with fans and their teams and fans with their players. Destroying the NBA draft not only would ruin that, but also would kill teams like the Pistons. It would kill small market teams that live in the cold, don't have crazy nightlives or whatever, they just wouldn't get nobody. And then lastly, with the Pistons tanked for 5 years. We watched. We all were there for all 5 years of the tanking. If they didn't go through this rebuild, if they didn't finally tear it down, instead of trying to just be mediocre with Bruce Brown, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, Reggie, like if they decided to just keep going because tanking was nothing and there was no reason, like if they eliminated, if you're bad, you get a top pick next year. If they eliminated that and the Pistons had no reason to stop being mediocre, like they would not be here. We would still be watching a team with no direction. We would still be watching a team with middle tier talent. We would still be watching a team that doesn't have a bona fide franchise player. The only reason why the Pistons were able to get a franchise player is because they tanked and they got the first overall pick. That's what got them out of the dwellers. If the point of tanking, or if the point of trying to solve, quote unquote, the tanking issue is to make the bad teams no longer bad, I don't know. I think people need to understand that tanking and the draft is, what are they, a necessary evil. Because it's the only way bad teams can become good. It's the only way. The only way, let me not say the only way. Only way is a bit strong. It's by far and away the best option and the most likely option for you to no longer be bad is to luck into a top 3 pick and have a great prospect there and get one. Like, would the Timberwolves be as good as they are right now if they didn't luck into the second overall pick and get Anthony Edwards? Would the Pistons be this good if they didn't luck into it and get Cade? Like, or would these teams still be really bad? Like, you go throughout all these teams that aren't Los Angeles, where you just have a GM lose his mind and give away his player. Like, again, okay, that's another team. Dallas. Dallas would be awful right now. They would be terrible with no future. But they lucked in the first pick. They got Cooper Flag, and now they won't be at the bottom of the league forever no more. They won't be at the bottom of the league for the next 5 years because they got Cooper Flag. Like, tanking and the draft is a necessary evil. And the idea that it's become this big of an issue, I don't agree with. The Pistons would not have Cade. They would not have Asar Thompson. Two of the players, I think, are the two most impactful players. At most, 2 out of their 3 most impactful players. If you don't tank, if they did not tank and get a top pick, they would not have Cade. They would not have Asar. Maybe they still trade up to get Jalen Duren at 13. But you don't have the Pistons could have Jalen Duren, honestly. They could have Jalen Duren. They could have Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris, all these guys. But if you don't have Cade, the Pistons are right back where we were 5 years ago. They're right back with no direction. We don't know where they're going. They're probably still at the bottom of the league. So I think this whole tanking thing is getting a bit blown out of water. Do we want to see teams on given nights of returning to a game and they're just not trying? No, we don't. No one wants to see that, right? No one wants to see their stars just not play ever. Like, fair. Like, I'm not saying watching the tanking happen is super fun. I'm not saying that. I get that. But it is a necessary evil for these teams to get out from the basement. And to be honest, the Pistons, again, are another great example of this, that the new lottery odds that they've created honestly have done more harm than good. Because what's the best way, like I just said, for these bottom teams to get out of it? Is to get the top pick and get the best prospect and have a franchise player to move forward with. The Pistons had the best odds twice. I believe actually 3 times in a row, and they fell to 5 each time. If the Pistons would have been at the top of the draft, or insert other team at the top of the draft and didn't fall to 5 every single time, they would have been out of the bottom of the league immediately. But all the flattened lottery odds have done is keep the bad teams bad. Now, yes, you need to hit on your picks at 5, but like, for example, let's use Utah. Utah, instead of being number 1 this year or number 2 and getting or Cooper Flag or insert other name, they get VJ. They got Ace Bailey at 5, or I believe they actually fell for 6. They got Ace Bailey, which he hasn't been tremendous this year. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but he's not Coop. He's not Con. He's not VJ. Like, if they fell, Pistons fell, they missed out on Victor. Like, and luckily the Pistons got Cade, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, these flattened odds, honestly, is making it more likely for these bad teams to stay bad. Dallas, 1 year after trading Luka, they get Cooper Flag because they jumped from 11 to 1. And then the bad teams fall further, and they don't even get the best player. So now they're just bad again. Now they have to do it again the next year to try to be bad. So to me, I don't think tanking is that big of an issue. It's only a few teams every year, and those teams, they don't have, it's not like they have the benefit of being in a large market where they can just say, hey, we're the Lakers, come play for us, and get bailed out by that. It's not like they're New York where they can say, hey, we're New York, come play for us, and get bailed out by that. This is the best chance they got. We watched that with Detroit. That was their best chance. That's the route that they went, and it ended up getting them to where they are right now. They're the top of the East. If they didn't tank those years and get Cade and get Asar and get Isaiah Stewart and get all these guys, if they didn't do that, I know Stu was drafted mid-round, but my point is, if you didn't try to be bad to get these picks, the Pistons will ever end up here. And that's the case for almost every team unless you're LA or New York. It's a necessary evil. I don't think they should really do anything to mess with it. If anything, take away these lottery odds that they've done, the flattened lottery odds. I think the change you can maybe make is, like I said earlier, make it to where you can't have a top 5 pick more than 2 years in a row. So you have those 2 years to be bad on purpose. You get top 5. There you go. You have your chance. You can't get it again. You better start trying to win. You can't keep trying to lose. Once you get your 2 picks, you got your 2 picks, you got your chance. You better hit on the draft, and then now you got to try. Like, that would be my solution. But to be honest, if they just did nothing with this, I don't think it's that big of a, like, dude, come on. Who was watching Utah? Like, I know people are complaining about Laurie and JJJ sitting out. It's on Twitter. It's all over because everyone hears about it. They see the headline. Now everyone wants to complain about it. But how many of the people that were complaining about it were actually tuning into that Utah game? And we're sitting there like, oh, man, I missed out on JJJ and Laurie. I was really watching the Jazz this year. Like, come on, bro. Come on. People aren't watching Brooklyn. People aren't watching Utah. People aren't bothered by it. But we tune into other games that are more competitive. We tune into other games that are more worth watching. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And if they destroyed it, if they destroyed the draft or did something to decrease the reward of tanking, the Pistons wouldn't be here. So it's a necessary evil. They got to deal with it. I'm sorry. It's been like this forever. How do you think the Spurs got Timmy D? Like, they were bad for 1 year. All of a sudden now they got dynasty because they got Timmy D, David Robinson, all. Like, it's what happens. It's a necessary evil. Let's stop acting like it's just now all of a sudden it started to happen. Teams have always done it. It's the best way to get out. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. Coming up, has Jalen Duren deserved a max so far with his play this year? We'll break it down coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Then I've got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things over and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out over on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Pistons, or you can find me over on either TikTok or Instagram at Khahil. We will have more content for you guys over there as well. But let's go ahead and break down, should Jalen Duren get the max? Has he earned the max this season with how he's played so far, entering into the All-Star break? Now, obviously, we need to see how the season ends up, how it goes in the playoffs. I doubt it's going to go much different, but I guess let's just see how it goes the rest of the year. But so far this year, Jalen Duren, at just 22 years old, is averaging almost 18 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 1.8 assists. He's shooting 73% from the free throw line, 63% from the field. He has a true shooting percentage of 67%, been uber efficient, and he's been a big part of the Pistons, being 32-12 in his games and being at the top of the conference. This is what a max contract would look like for Jalen Duren. I think you need to know the numbers here. If the cap prediction for next year is correct, it may change slightly, but if it's correct, he would be getting a max for him would be 5 years, $240 million, unless he made All-NBA. If he makes All-NBA, then it goes even higher. I believe it goes to 32% of the cap. When he gets to All-NBA, I could be slightly off by that, but it goes up a few percentage points if he makes All-NBA. I don't think he's going to make All-NBA. I think he's had a great year, but I don't think it's going to be All-NBA worthy. I'm not saying I'm sitting here rooting against him. If he were to do it, that'd be great for the Pistons have 2 All-NBA guys. That's amazing. I just don't think he's been an All-NBA player this year. I don't think he's been a top 15 guy. I think he's been around top 30 guy, top 30 to 35, somewhere around there. But I don't think he's been a top 15 guy. So I don't think you have to be concerned about whether the All-NBA his contract's going to go crazy. But it's going to be 5 years, $240 million, with $41.5 million being the hit on the cap in year 1 of the extension. That's what the money looks like. Is he deserving of it? I think the answer is easily yes. You have to pay him. There is no real... I don't feel like there's any real discussions to be had. I feel like you just have to. You're going into this year with him being a restricted free agent. You're not going into restricted free agency. You're not trying to make him mad or disrespect him after the season you just had. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. But just based off this regular season so far, he's been great. He's been their secondary creator. And I brought these numbers up. A guy who got paid 2 years ago. Now, this guy got paid slightly less than the max. He took a team-friendly deal for their team. But he's had a better season than this guy. He's been compared to this guy a lot. And I think he's just been better. So he definitely deserves to get paid more than this guy. And that is Alperen Sengun, who, again, Jackson Gatlin. Have fun with that one. Not looking forward to that Locked On Rockets episode. I would not be looking to record this Locked On Rockets episode after Sunday, after what's happened. But if you look at what Alperen Sengun's done this year compared to Jalen Duren, first of all, Jalen Duren's contributing on the best team in the Eastern Conference, the best team in the NBA as of right now, according to win percentage. But then you look at what he's done compared to Sengun. He's scoring just a little less, but he's been much more efficient. He has a 67 true shooting percentage to Sengun's 55. He has not been efficient this year. I think he's been a better defender than Sengun this year. He's a better rebounder than Sengun this year. He shoots better from the free throw line this year than Sengun. Now, Sengun is, I think, a much better playmaker, so you'll give him that. But I think Duren has had a larger impact on winning for the Detroit Pistons. I just exited out of this. Oh, no, I didn't. It's right here. Thank you. This year, I guess I should have included this as well. Jalen Duren, for the first time ever, for the Detroit Pistons, they're much better with him on the floor. If you adjust for defensive three-point luck, which I do, when he's on and off, it weighs it the same as if teams aren't just getting luckily hot one time and luckily not. If you adjust for that, the team is 4.7 points better with them on the floor. If you don't adjust for three-point luck, it's the exact same. They're 4.7 points better with them on the floor. So he's had a big impact on the Pistons' success this year, but continuing the comparison between Jalen Duren and Alperen Sengun. I mean, this year, the Rockets have actually been 6 points worse with Sengun on the floor than with him off. So there you go. I'm not trying to pick on Sengun. I'm just saying, this is a guy who got paid a year previously. He's been compared to this guy because they're both relatively the same age in the whole Rockets-Pistons rivalry. And if you go and look at some of the in-depth numbers, Jalen Duren's been a way better pick-and-roll guy than him, obviously. He's been better than him on as a putback guy, as a better offensive rebounder. Now, Sengun is much more active as an isolation guy, but Duren is actually more efficient than he is on the reps he gets. And something we've talked about all year, Jalen Duren has been incredible on his drives. He's scoring 1.18 points per possession on all of his drives. Meanwhile, Sengun, who people may think is just naturally the better offensive player, is scoring just 0.86 points per possessions on drives. So I think Duren's been flatly better than Sengun all year, and Sengun got paid 2 years ago, or I guess you'd call it a year ago as of right now, but 2 years ago by the time, I think it would be 2 years ago by the time the offseason comes around. I believe 2 years. I might be off, either a year and a half, or 2 years ago. Either way, I think Duren's been better. Duren will look at that. His agent will look at that and say, hey, that guy got slightly less than the max. He took a team-friendly deal. I've been better than him this year. I helped us be the top seed in the East. I deserve this max contract. And the Pistons will have no choice but to give it to him, because that's what you do. When a young guy has played this well and he's impacted winning this much at this young of an age, you give him the max contract. You don't try to upset him. You don't try to upset the agent. You don't try to get into this back and forth, especially with the kind of culture that they talk about nonstop in the locker room, how much everybody gets along, how they want to keep these guys together, how much we've heard through the grapevines, and from what I've heard, how much they're planning the future salary cap already with Cade, Duren, and Asar and Stu in mind. You give him the money. You don't try to upset anything. You give him the max, especially when he's played the way he's played this year. So unless he just falls off, they're going to give him the max contract this year, this offseason. And I think it's probably going to be deserved. Now, in the future, after this year, once he's on this max contract, I will start to say you hope to see some of this playmaking start to catch back up with his scoring. He's turned the ball over more than he's getting assists this year. That's due to the fact that he's in such score-first mode that he's no longer making these reads to cutters on the baseline. He's no longer making the reads consistently to shooters beyond the arc. When he gets the ball, he's looking to score all the time, which one of the reasons why his turnover percentage on drives is so low, like it's only 6.8%. The reason why it's so low is because most of the time his drives ends in shots. It's not ending in turnovers. It's ending whether it's a missed shot or a made shot. He's getting shots up. And he's doing it relatively efficiently. But he's not turning the ball over as much as someone who's trying to score this much because he's getting shots up. He's not looking to pass very often. So after this year, once he gets the contract, like I hope to see it improve this year, but I don't think it's probably going to happen immediately this year. I think it's something you're going to have to improve upon going into next year. Once he's on that contract, that's when you start to want to see those kind of improvements to really take the next step. Because once you start getting your guys locked into these contracts, all the growth has to come from internally. Like all of the guys you're paying need to live up to that contract, or then you start to get into trouble. So I think he'll get the max contract. I think he's honestly earned it. But once these guys start getting on max contracts, you need to start seeing him improve some of these areas. And he's made such big jumps this year on defense and as a scorer. There's no reason to believe he can't make another jump as a passer when we've seen him be a really good passer for his position in past years. So let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.